What's the plan for this one?
I can't.
You'll find out.
Hey, it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Life. Our life as best friends who are more like sisters.
Yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
We're now at the point of the podcast where you say, what are we going to talk about? And Scott goes, you'll find out. And then boom, just starts the music. We're officially at that point, which I absolutely love. And, you know, the fact that the answer is the same all the time that doesn't stop you from asking the question is quite fascinating. The answer is always the same.
What?
Always the same. It's almost like you have this desire.
I just
like,
need one word.
What if I was like, we're talking about restaurant etiquette?
Oh,
you're like,
all right.
Okay, I know.
No,
okay, it's now I really know.
It's just the mind.
Then what? Like, what does that do for you? Well, all
frame
of a sudden,
mind. It just gives me context.
Well, empathy. We're going to be talking about empathy in some way, shape, or form.
That is broad.
Yeah, great. What, you want to know the exact topic?
No,
because for the last episode that we did, I had a big old plan for that one.
I know.
We didn't talk about any of that.
I know.
We didn't talk about anything. I got my post-it notes over here. I got all my stuff, you know. So then that's what happens is I tell you what we're going to talk about, and then you take us on some whirlwind whatever.
I'm sorry.
So I don't know. Why don't you tell us what we're talking about? Because
I will tell you that my TVs have not been working in my house, and Philip, because we have this illegal TV system.
Right.
And Philip had the Spectrum people come and change out the routers. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Router?
Yeah.
Or modem or whatever. And we've done all the reset, like all the stuff. And so for the first time in a long time, we decided to watch a movie down in his man room.
Yeah.
Which when he loves watching TV down there because it's great.
Yeah.
10 minutes into the movie, all fucked up.
Oh.
I said, it's my energy.
Oh.
It's my energy.
Well, I'm not going to debate that.
It's my energy. It's the same with my computer. My computer's not working correctly. I can only use my phone in my office one certain angle, or it's all weird. Nobody else has problems.
I know.
Fuck.
I know. Like Kelly up the street told you that.
I know, but I can't seem to shift it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? How are you doing with your groundedness? Are you wearing more black? Are you walking with your feet on the ground? Do you have your black stone that you rub? Are you doing anything? Because if you're not,
I have that, and I'm wearing black pants.
If you are not doing
a big deal.
any of the things you're supposed to be doing, I can't keep sipping it. Keep sipping it. Let everyone know you're done with your drink. If you're not doing it,
I gotta give my money's worth. I gotta give my money's worth
because it's from last Thursday.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got a Hippie Vu card for us?
I do.
And do you need me to read it?
I changed the cards. Hold on.
Okay.
Ace of Swords.
These are going to be good.
Ace
of Swords.
Ace of Swords. Yep. Okay. Here we go. This is the mermaid cards, and look at this. It's a great white shark.
Yep.
With
a gigantic
one sword, and it says victory.
Oh,
look at that sword. It has a purple jewel thing at the top.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great white or a dolphin?
Oh, that's a great white.
Okay.
Look at his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't
definitely.
No dolphin.
No.
Dolphins don't use no swords.
That's a weird-ass looking dolphin if there is one.
They don't use no swords. Just a shark. Okay. The meaning is victory. This ace reveals that you will benefit from a smart decision that leads to immediate victory. If you've been beset by uncertainty or delays in your plans, this ace shows a breakthrough. As you cut through... Do you hear that?
It's just a truck going by.
Oh, I thought he was putting music on. I'm like, he's getting ready for the big reveal.
Yeah.
Okay. The ace shows a breakthrough as you cut through confusion to win power and success. In relationships, you make a positive new beginning. The card is also a sign of mental clarity, so you are sharp-witted. There may be a legal victory or a triumph in an argument or debate. So the advice is to use your intelligence and the victory is yours. All right, bring it on.
That's for me.
What do you want
that
it to be?
One's for me. That's my legal victory for my house case that's been going on ad infinitum.
Okay.
It's finally going to come to a close.
Okay, Shark Attack.
Jeez.
Shark Attack with your spirit.
Oh my God. It could not be any more clear. I can't. The answer is you are wrong. You didn't complete the requirements you set in the contract. I am correct. Didn't you know that I have the answers? I know the answers.
Right.
And you know who agrees with me? My lawyer.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that one's for me. That one's definitely for me. You think it's for you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you do?
Oh, there's many things that we can't discuss on the session on the public air.
Okay.
But yes.
That you're hitting the home run for?
Oh, yeah. Remember last week we had a whole plan and then I screenshotted and said, here's the plan.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
I think that's going to come together and be really great.
Okay. I love it.
So
and then you sent me the plan and I said, hey, make sure you send that to me in advance so I can let you know that you need to up your prices. Right. And then you're like, ha ha ha. I said, no, I'm not kidding. I'm actually not kidding because we're all done with that.
So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. It's exciting. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. I got a good story for you.
Okay.
So last week I was in Buffalo with Renee and we went to a few consignment shops. And
our favorite one?
If we went to our favorite one, I wouldn't tell you. Because you wouldn't be able to handle it and then I would have to talk about it all day.
So instead you just didn't go?
So
you went.
No, I'm telling you, if we did go, I wouldn't even tell you that we went. I would tell you, nope, we didn't. Just went to consignment shops. Mm-hmm. No, how do you feel now? You want to talk about your feelings?
No, I want to know if there's anything good there.
Anyway, I went to a couple consignment shops. One of them was for a real junk shop we've never been to before, and it was fascinating.
Was it good?
No.
Oh, it was bad.
No. But it was. But
see, some of those are hit or miss.
It looked like a good one. It looked like a good one.
You know, we can't make you can't make an assumption about the outside.
I know.
Because it's either dead on or dead off.
I know. And there's the amount of stuff that was in the windows made me think it's dead on.
This is it.
But then I walked in, it was a little too organized and a little too tchotchke. It wasn't it. But I didn't know. See, that's how I'm feeling about the shops on Westridge. I'm like, it's just becoming a Hobby Lobby. I know. Although they did have the pool, but still. I know.
The pool.
It did change it up because it's much more of a boutique
It's classy. It's actually quite lovely.
It's beautiful.
But it's not what we want. We want the Liberty Hollow.
Dog.
We want the Liberty Hollow with the shit from the 80s. That's just like garage sale central.
Right. Because you don't know what you're going to find.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And there's little hidden gems everywhere.
I know. When we go to the shops on Westridge, we do get excited and then it's $150.
I know.
And then we're like,
I know. And that's not why I'm there.
No.
I'm there for the $2.50 American flag.
Remember when I wanted that bird pillow and she said it was $30? There was no tag on it on how much it was, and she's like, it's $30. I'm like, not today. Yep. And then she brought it down, and I'm like, still not today.
She brought it down. No, she said it was $45.
Oh.
Then because we stood there long enough,
right,
she brought it down to $29.
Right.
Now I'm thinking, absolutely, we can do that. Right.
And I said no.
And you said no. And I turned to you and said, how much would you pay for this pillow? And you said $20. I said, we're $9 off.
Yeah.
We're not. And you said yes.
And you gave me the $9.
And I look at the cashier and I look at you and I look at that woman and I take $9.
I know.
$9 cash.
I know.
And I said, give her the damn pillow.
I know.
And you took that $9.
I sure did. And I look at that pillow every day and think about that.
And you love it. Don't you love it?
I do.
And I got the one that looks like Sweet Tooth. You know, that show that I love to watch looks like Sweet Tooth, and that pillow makes me very happy.
Yeah, but you don't even care about the price. I care about the price. That pillow was $5.99 all day. All day.
It was at least $20.
No,
that was fine.
Yeah, that was fine. At-home type store, not at freaking Junks R Us.
That's the other thing. I was buying something with Renee last weekend, and she's like, I picked it up and I put it in the cart. She's like, well, how much is it? Oh, okay. We don't care how much it costs. Oh, yeah. And I'm laughing because you guys are always like that. You're like, you don't even look at the... And I said, if I want it, I want it. I don't know what to tell you. I will put it in the cart. I don't do that for everything.
I know.
I do check the prices on some things, but if I know I'm not leaving here without this thing, why bother looking at the price?
I mean,
show me when we get up there. So anyway, we're at a consignment shop.
Okay.
And we're walking around, doing a whole bunch of stuff, looking at a bunch of stuff. Renee doesn't like to shop. She's a good sport, she'll hang in there, but she's over it in about 5-7 minutes after we get in there. And so we're walking around and we get to this section that's more home than clothing.
Oh,
right?
My favorite part.
More home related.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about who knows what. There's a woman back there. It's cold. Who the heck knows what we're talking about? And all of a sudden the woman says, ladies, may I have your opinion on something?
Oh boy.
And we turn and I say, yeah, sure. So she's holding up 2 vases. Okay. They're exactly the same. And it's gotta be, how tall would you say this is?
2 feet.
2 feet?
Yeah.
2 feet.
2 feet.
And it's teal blue, but it is like teal blue speckled.
Clear glass.
No, it's like pottery you would make.
Oh, yeah.
In high school.
Okay.
Right? And it has these like petal looking things that come up.
These are the things that you can find at like a craft fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's petal coming up with a hole in the middle. Petal coming up with a hole in the middle. And it's petal upon petal upon petal upon petal.
I know
all
exactly
the way
what you're talking
up.
about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Ugly.
Thank you for saying that. Renee is listening right now and dying. She's cracking up.
Ugly.
Because you said that.
Put it back. Lady, put it back.
So she's got both of these and she says, you guys, no, I need to preface this. Renee is not a home decorator. Renee is the last person that you're going to ask for some home advice on what you should do in your house.
Okay.
She, will wear these clothing items that she's like, I don't know if this is it. And I'm like, it's not it. Right.
Oh.
Like and so she knows this about herself. This is not a surprise. She doesn't feel insulted by it. She knows that this ain't it. Right.
Oh, okay.
But that it also doesn't keep her from sharing her opinions very clearly when someone has some questions about some things. Hence, this woman who's in the back is holding up these 2 vases and says, ladies, I was just wondering if I could have your opinion. My home is boho, and I'm wondering if these vases would go really well in like a boho type house. So I hedge my bets a little bit because I'm aware that sometimes people need some softening, right? But I either wasn't in the mood or I thought I was with you. I don't know what happened, but out of my mouth comes, absolutely not. That's not it.
Okay.
Then I said, put those back. Okay. Renee goes, oh yeah. Those are great.
No, she didn't. I like at the same time.
Same time. Those are great. The woman goes, well, that clears that up for me. Thank you. So then I'm thinking to myself in my head, Renee doesn't know. She doesn't know. This isn't her area, right?
You should turn to Renee and be like, what's boho?
No, wait, that's the best part of the story. It's the best part of the story. So she goes...
Once again, I'm already anticipating.
So Renee says out loud, but to be fair, I'm not the one that people come to for home advice. I'm not the decorator. Erin is. So now this woman's standing here with the vases, and I can tell in this moment she really wants the vases. She really just wanted confirmation. So she's really excited that Renee has said yes, but now Renee is like, I'm not really the person that would acknowledge this. And so I said, that's correct. She's not. And I actually went to her house and redid her entire house, inside, out, up, down, right, and she gave me carte blanche freedom to be able to change it into anything. So I said, it's just not it, right? And so she's like, oh, okay. And she takes it and she goes to put it back. And I'm feeling so bad that I have wrecked this woman's dream. You
know what?
But
she shouldn't have asked your opinion then.
I know.
If she loves it so much, you don't ask people's opinion.
I know. but it's not it, right? And she's upset that I could tell that she's like slinking around a little bit, like maybe she's not in a good enough place to be able to say, oh, I really liked them. So she goes to put them back, and I'm like, Renee, I feel really bad. I think maybe I came a little strong. And she's like, well, you gave an honest review of those. And I said, it's not it. Those are not cute. Number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, it's definitely not boho. If I didn't like it, but it was boho, I would have told her it's boho all day. Mm-hmm. And what if you love
is boho?
Oh, okay. Boho is hippie, tapestry.
It is wheat flowers.
Yeah.
It is flowy, long, blonde hair with a flowing white feather. It is dream
like
catchers.
Rattan. You know what rattan is? Like rattan furniture, not wicker.
No,
rattan.
Yeah, it's the
think Florida. Think South Florida, but not tropical
and not 85 years old.
Right, right.
It is beach vibes. It is whimsy, flowy.
Just come to my house.
Comfortable, right?
Just come to my house. My house is very boho.
That's all these things.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling bad about it, and we walk back through like the rest of the store, and I just keep saying to her, "Oh my God, I feel really bad. Like, should I have said something like, I don't really like it, and I don't think it's boho, but I do think you should, follow what you want to do." And Renee's, very confirming. She's like, you said what you thought in that moment, and she asked your opinion, and it's okay. So then the woman walks up, like down the aisle as we're in the area where the shoes are, and I look at her, and immediately I'm overcome with this feeling of like, oh no, like what if she has them in her hands? What am I gonna do? And so because I can't not call it out or talk about it, mm-hmm. I have to say to her as she's walking up, oh my God, how wouldn't it be crazy if you were holding the vases right now? I'm like, if you were holding the vases, that would have been awkward for both of us, right? And then I'm looking at her hands, like making sure it's like in her backpack, like just not caring because I could have really just doubled down. And she started laughing, and she's like, no, she's like, if it's not boho, it's not boho.
Okay.
Renee and I walk into the area where you're supposed to try on the clothes. And I'm like still processing this. I'm still uncomfortable. I'm still like, oh God, I was really definitive about that. And out of nowhere, Renee goes, what is boho anyway? And I don't have my pants on right now. I don't have my pants on. I'm looking at her in this tiny ass changing room. And I said, are you for real? Are you serious? She's like, oh yeah, I don't really know what boho is. I said, when that woman just said to you, do you think these vases are boho? You, without skipping a beat, said, oh yeah, absolutely. Confirmed it. You were so definitive. And she's like, I liked the vases. I said, that wasn't the question. The question was not, do you like the vases, right? So she's dying, right? And I'm like, the question wasn't, do you like the vases? The question is, are the vases boho? And she said, but I liked the vases. And I said, that wasn't the question. So here I am perseverating over, I gave this woman an answer that might have been really, and Renee's just like, yes, all day. Those are it. This is awesome. And then out of nowhere has the audacity to ask me, what is boho? Yeah. So I pull out my phone. Yep. I search for boho. Yep. And she goes, oh yeah, those won't match in the boho. I said, I cannot right now with all of this that just happened in this consignment shop. And I said, I can't wait to tell Rebecca this story.
I mean,
she's gonna think it's hilarious.
The difference is I would have been like, no. I would have, but then just walked away and not thought of anything again.
I know.
You have to,
Because I usually will say, it just caught me off guard. I turned real quick and was like, absolutely not.
Right.
Both. And it was an easy no for me because I didn't like what they looked like and they weren't boho.
Right.
If I liked what they looked like, then I would have gone to, or if I really thought they were boho.
Maybe if you put the grass thing, what is that thing called?
Yeah, you're going to need the wheat sticks in there.
Yeah, then maybe they would be boho.
What type of room is it? Can you show me a picture?
Yeah, let's talk
But
more.
I was just real clear.
Yeah, no,
but
not
when
it.
she doubled down with what is boho, she didn't know what boho was. I
love that. I love that.
I can't do it.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
That's my story of the day.
So there was no bird in that consignment shop? Oh!
Well,
you know what tipped me off? The tiny ass changing room.
I knew
the tiny ass changing room. And I was waiting the whole time. I'm waiting for her to say the bird was chirping in the back.
I also knew that you knew when I said I was in the alleyway with the shoes. That she came running around from the home department. I knew you knew it. I knew it.
It's my favorite store.
Oh, that's the bird. Stupid ass bird.
I called you out on it before you even started your story.
I said I wasn't even going to tell you about it. Cannot. Oh, did you go to our consignment? Did you go to the one B like to go to? That stupid bird. That stupid bird. Oh my God. And it was moving a lot. It was talking a lot. It was doing all the things.
The cold area in the way back.
Because
it's freezing. There's Oh, I know. You freaking liar. You tried it?
I didn't lie. I hedged my bets. I said I wouldn't tell you anyway. I wouldn't tell you anyway. Was there a bird? Whatever.
Clearance. You were in clearance. I know where you were.
Whatever. And then also Renee's like, oh, by the way, I don't buy shoes that other people wore.
Oh, that's too,
like,
that's too bad.
That's real definitive. Like, what? Okay. Like, pants are fine, but we really draw the line at shoes.
I mean, there's sweaty fungus in shoes, I guess.
Yeah, there's sweaty fungus in your mungus down here too, but just wash them. It's fine.
I know.
It's fine.
She's not like us, where you buy the bras at the Goodwill. It's fine.
I know.
It's fine.
I know.
I mean, I found this bra's from the Goodwill. This bra's a $40 bra.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cute.
I know.
A little bralette.
Yeah.
Wow.
$2.99 at the Goodwill.
Oh, wow.
$40 in real life.
That's great. You're
Somebody
wearing
else's tatas were in here.
recycled titties. Yeah.
Right.
Good for you. Good for you.
You went to the damn consignment shop with the bird.
Stop it. Don't ask about the bird.
Yeah.
There's a bird, guys, in the second room, and this bird makes all these types of noises. And
It's a beautiful
like,
bird.
He's like really sweet, and he's white, but he does. He like makes that noise the entire time that you're in there, and like he like makes these really weird ass noises, and you're like, oh my God, I love this bird so much. And then pretty much you're like, stop, bird, stop.
Did
It's
you
too much?
Look at my favorite jewelry?
I did look at the jewelry for you, and there was gem jewelry there that I thought you would really love, but it's just huge, and I was like, that is just next level. I just don't. But I did see some gem jewelry. They did have some gem.
Okay.
I got to tell you though, we love this place, but it's really becoming like. I walk in there and I'm like, you got to organize this shit better. I don't know what to tell you. You're taking too many items. Like, and so every time we leave there, right, we're always talking about, well, when we own a consignment shop, this is what we're going to do different.
Every single time. That is the one.
You can't just take everything. I don't know what to tell you. Like, now it's expanded upon another room and then a whole nother room, right? It goes all the way into the back and they got all of this stuff. And then some of the prices aren't what I want the prices to be. There was this flower planter there that I really liked, but it was $15.
No.
And I'm like, I would spend $15 on that if I bought it at Target, if I bought it at, I don't come here
These
to
are
a
used
secondhand store to pay the same amount that I would buy for something
Unless it's a high end. I mean, they do sell high-end purses and things like that, but they're not full price. But
No.
I know. Remember the extravagant lampshades?
Oh, it was the lamp. It was the lamp. Remember
it was
that?
the whole lamp. It was like from the 70s, and they were like cherubs with these huge billowing lampshades.
And there was some type of like It was a porcelain bird
or
looking
something.
thing.
And
like
did I not say to you?
And a bird and whatever. And you were like, oh, we're going to get those. Put those in the car. And doesn't she perk up and say, they're already sold?
Right.
And we're like, whoa.
But I will say, I would have bought one if I was having another baby. That would have been the centerpiece of the baby's room.
It was unreal.
It was next
It would have been
level.
the centerpiece because that thing was huge.
It was bigger than that.
Not
fan.
okay.
It was.
I know.
But like something classic about it. I don't know how to describe it.
When you go to these places, when we go to these places, we're looking for something that you can't just find mainstream.
Right.
But then we also want to be able to purchase it for a reasonable price. I'm not talking cheap, right?
Well, I mean, cheap is good.
There was, right.
That's not the goal.
Sometimes you win in that way, right? But there was this white bird that was a pretty big bird, and it had a gold crown on it. And it was, the tag was still on it, and it said $5.99. And the price that they were selling it for was $5.
No.
And I'm like, I didn't come here to save $1.
No.
You
that's
sell
a
that
50
thing
cent
for
item.
$2. Right? Like this isn't how we do this.
Yeah.
But so also when I was driving out there, one of my new favorite things to do, and Renee is going to be really proud of me for telling people this. If you don't have a library card, you need to go and get one.
I go to the library all the time.
That's true.
You don't know that I read, or you don't believe that I read, but I'm always
surprised
reading.
that you're reading, right? But I got myself a library card not to get hard copy books because I don't like to physically read books, but I will listen to books all day, every day. So when you go get a library card, you also automatically can sign up for this Libby app, and on the Libby app, you can search any of the books that you want to read as audiobooks. And so I've been reading so many more books via audiobooks for free because you're basically renting them from the library, listening to them as an audiobook and calling it a day.
Right. You just don't get to keep it in your library.
Right.
Your digital library, which why would you, who reads two books?
Well, maybe
who reads the same book twice?
Maybe if you love it. You do?
I've listened to some books that I have in my Audible library like 5 times.
Why?
Because I love them. Why do you watch a movie more than once?
I don't. I don't eat the same thing more than once.
Right.
I do. And I feel like if that was the case and you wanted to buy it, now you would know you loved it so much you could buy Audible and
it's like you
keep it.
You tested it.
Right? Like you might as well just test drive it for free.
You can listen to it as many times as you want to. Like there's not a if someone's listening to that, it's not like it's checked out, right?
Yes, no, that is still the case. So like for instance, yes. So with the Codependent No More book, I was on a wait list to get it, right? And then you get it for XYZ amount of time. You can renew it like you normally do, right? So
if there's no wait list.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But Renee and I beat the system.
Oh.
And she has a Buffalo library card. So we synced our accounts. So I now get access to Rochester and Buffalo, and she gets access to Buffalo and Rochester. So now she can search both of them, and one of them might have it, in advance. And so we'll just put things in each other's carts, or, can basically I got earlier access to Codependent No More through the Buffalo library. But that's one of the benefits of having this library card is that you can have access to a bunch of different libraries nationwide. You have to have a card, or you have to know someone associated with that, but you can associate a bunch of different cards. So the New York City library, Renee says, has everything you could ever possibly want to do.
People get married there.
Anywhere. It's supposed to be amazing.
And then they have, it's so funny you should say that. I was listening to people talking on the radio about the New York City Library and how there's a bunch of underground, it's just like really cool. Like
that's
to
cool.
physically go, if you're ever in the city, you should go there.
Yeah, that's really cool. We should do that next time we're there. But that would be a great example of a way that you could, mix your card and then have access. Again, free. This is free. You don't have to pay for any of these other subscriptions. Right. So Renee's going to be really proud of me that I just told every one of our massive numbers of listeners, because I told her it would now be my job to spread the word that the library is where people need to go for these resources.
I agree.
The library is where people need to go, period.
I agree.
Because they have, like, for instance, at our library in Fairport, they have a card that will get you money off at multiple museums. You check out the card and you get, like, let's say $10 off the Strong Museum of Play.
That's awesome.
And then you use it and then you bring the card back to the library.
Wow.
So it's like you don't have to have your own membership. You can have the membership associated with the library, right?
It's so nice because that allows people who wouldn't be able to do it normally access, but you have to know about it.
Exactly.
You have to know about it. You have to participate. You have to be an active member of your community or you will never know what's going on.
Or you have to have someone who does understand the library system, right? Like, so the day that I went to go sign up for my library card, Renee was with me and she was like, oh my God, this is such an exciting day. So she walks into the library and says to the woman behind the counter, today's a great day. And the woman behind the counter goes, oh my gosh, is she here for a library card?
Stop.
And I'm looking at them like, this is what's happening here. This is next level, right? But she was so excited to tell me about the benefits. And I'll tell you what, librarians rule this world.
I know.
Rule this world.
I know.
You make friends with a librarian, you're going to be all set for the rest of your life.
Yep. My grandmother was a librarian and my brother graduated with a library science degree.
Yep.
Was never a librarian, but.
Right. I'm telling you, these people, they know how to find stuff.
Yep.
Like it's unreal.
Yep.
So I say all of that to say one of my new favorite things to do is when I'm driving long distances, the minute that I get off of the on-ramp and onto the thruway and my GPS says, keep going straight for 66 miles. And I know that my audiobook is already on. I am one with the universe in that moment.
You know, it's funny you say that because we do a lot of soccer trips.
Yep.
So I always have my my audiobooks on. And even it's to the point now where when the girls bring their friends, they're like, Mrs. Herzog, are you going to listen to your weird books?
Yeah. I am, girls.
Because you know I'm not listening to self-help. I'm listening to
I know.
smut books.
I know. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Renee, too. Renee's like, I hate those self-help books. I really can't get into it. It's all I'll listen to. I love it so much. Which brings me to this new book that I'm reading. It's called The Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People. How to Reclaim Your Power from Narcissists and Other Manipulators.
Okay.
What? So here I am, just me in the thruway, going down. There were times when I'm reading this book, listening to this book out loud in my own car. Got my fries and my Peppy right next to me. That I'm saying, yes! Oh, yeah. Yeah, hallelujah. Like stuff's coming out of my mouth confirming what this woman is saying.
Yeah.
Or I'm like pushing the back 15 seconds, back 15 seconds, back 15 seconds because I'm like, I got to hear that again. I got to hear it again. It's incredible. So here I am. You can see from, I usually have very nice handwriting. You can see from my handwriting here, this was me writing while I'm driving. Stop it, Scott. Don't gasp. It's fine. So that I could write some of my notes because I had to remember to talk to you about this. So this is the heart of today's session.
Okay, here we go.
Some of my early level findings from this book. Okay. Now this first one is absolutely fascinating. So the first thing I want to be clear of about is an HSP, highly sensitive person, is a for real thing. This is not just someone who's like, oh my God, I'm really sensitive, right? In the end of chapter 1 of this book, there's a highly sensitive person checklist. Oh. And it basically is, how many of these things relate to you? I'm like, yep. Highly sensitive person's brains are different than other people's brains. Okay. Different parts of their brains get activated at certain things. They feel things at a deeper level. Their experience is not like other people's experience. Their reward system is different than other people's. Stuff gets trapped for them that doesn't get trapped for other people. It's why when you break up in a relationship that you are just beyond devastated and in a really terrible spot and have a really hard time rebounding, whereas someone else is really sad or really upset or like, wow, this is really difficult, but has the ability to rebound, pretty quickly. They gave a bunch of these different examples. So that's the first thing I want to be clear is I would imagine some of the people who listen to this podcast are also HSPs. It's a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
So is HSCs. highly sensitive children.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of books around HSCs that I have found really fascinating. Actually, one I believe is in my cart ready to read because I believe Carter is an HSC.
Okay.
And you have to be very aware of the ways in which they process the world around them and how you communicate to them because, again, their brains are different, they're connecting different, all of these things.
Okay.
So as I'm listening to this book, she gives 2 examples that I found myself in these examples. The first example saying, oh, I get that. I understand. This part was about narcissists.
Okay.
So it's you're in a relationship with someone who's a narcissist or an incredibly toxic person. So toxic person is the umbrella term for different types of people. One of those types of people is a narcissist.
Okay.
Another one of those types of people is a sociopath or a psychopath.
Okay.
Another types of those people is what they call a crazy maker. Another type of people is an emotional vampire. Another type of toxic person would be what they call garden variety, which are people who just are not great about managing boundaries and are like, oh yeah, can I just have 5 more minutes of your time? Oh, just right. And then they're there for another hour, right? So all of these types of people fall under the umbrella category of toxic. So we were talking about toxic people as well as narcissists, and we're talking about them in regard to these types of examples. What I need your help figuring out is what is it about me that as I'm hearing these examples, one part of me is like, I can understand that. I can absolutely understand why they would say that. That doesn't sound toxic to me. And then in the very same scenario, different example, I'm like, oh, hell no. That's toxic. Get out of here. We're not doing it. Right?
Okay.
I would have thought that it would have been more definitive that toxic looks like toxic looks like toxic. And once you've identified someone as toxic, it's clear across the board with their types of behaviors. Right?
Okay.
Not the case.
Right.
So I'll give you the first example.
Okay.
The first example was that this woman was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. And she had previously been very supportive of her husband in a bunch of different capacities when he had gone through different illness journeys himself. So she gets diagnosed with this type of cancer. She's processing it. She's having a hard time. She's sitting down with her husband that night. They're in bed. And she starts to talk about how she's feeling about this recent cancer diagnosis and what the treatment plan is going to look like. And her husband says, are we just going to be talking about your cancer diagnosis all night?
Oh my God.
See, I love both of your reactions right now. I hear that and immediately go to, this man has really strong feelings about the cancer diagnosis and he can't go there. And he's taking an abrasive approach to, I can't talk about this right now because he's having a hard time managing his own feelings and he doesn't know how to communicate that he feels really badly that she's going through this. So
that's what you hope is
please
happening.
Discuss among you both had the same reaction. What
He's over it. He doesn't care about, he doesn't want to talk about it.
Why do you stop there? Why?
Yeah, I don't know that that's the case. That's my knee jerk reaction. But
well,
I know
that's my
I need
experience.
more information.
Those are my experiences. That's what people who say those kinds of things have meant.
Yeah,
and I think you're right a lot of the time. But how do you? So you hear that he's like, "Are we going to talk about your cancer diagnosis all night?"
Yeah,
you go to F you. Fine. You don't want to talk about it? You don't need to talk about it. Why do you go there and I go to, oh, okay, this is difficult for you. This is difficult for you to process.
Because of what I just said. My experience is that is what they're like, if it's not about me, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone said, I really can't talk about this tonight, I'm not ready for it.
Or that's a very different response.
That's one thing there. Are we going to talk about this all night? Like, I have better things to do, and I frankly don't want to listen to it.
Right.
But why can't I just accept at face value that when someone says that that's what they're genuinely communicating? Because the more abrasive that you're coming at me with that tone, I immediately think to myself, wow, you're just incapable of, like, the strength of your response is indicative of how difficult it is for you to be able to talk about this. The more abrasive you are to me, the more disconnected you are from being able to talk about it because it's too emotional.
See, that's an optimistic view of what's going on. Like, you are giving this person the benefit of the doubt, and in my mind, you're just setting yourself up for a big letdown.
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why I'm asking story of my life, because I believe that your responses you're having are correct. I believe that the responses you are having more often than not, you've identified that's a toxic response. That's really shitty. I'm not putting up with that. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I think that that's to be rewarded in this situation. I can't understand why I am having such a hard time hearing that statement. Are we going to talk about your cancer diagnosis all night as a definitive toxic asshole statement from a potential narcissist, and why I have to go that second degree down to hear what's not being said? It wasn't said.
You just really, really want people to be better than they are, I think. Like deep down, you're really giving them that chance. Like, you know, the guy shoots you and you're like, I know you didn't mean to shoot me. You were just doing target practice and I was in your way.
Yes. Remember I told you guys the one time that one of my favorite song lyrics is, you could slit my throat and I'd apologize for bleeding on your shirt. Right? This is that. Right? Because let me give you the second example. Same person, same situation that I thought, oh, hell no. Right?
Okay.
So she goes through the cancer treatment, and then the day after cancer says to her husband, would you make me, bring me a cup of coffee? Would you mind making me a cup of coffee? And he says, make your own coffee. Now, in that moment, I can imagine myself in that situation losing my mind.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that would have flown out of my mouth would not have been TV appropriate. And I would have immediately known. I know in that scenario, that's inappropriate. That's not the correct response. That's not the response you're supposed to be giving. You're an absolute asshole and go F yourself.
Right.
But why do I see it so clearly in that situation with the cup of coffee? But I hit my spit shield. But I don't see it so clearly in that first situation.
Well, because it's the same person. So now he's shown his true colors twice. So if it was a different person, I don't know if he would have had that.
But I bypassed it the first time.
Well, the first example is more of a communicative thing. Like it's a communication thing, whereas the second one is an act. It's a favor. It's a physical thing that someone's doing. If you ask them to do something and they say no, do it yourself. That is just clear rude. That is just, you know, if he said, no, do it yourself because I have no arms, you know, that's a different situation. But he's just telling her, no, I'm an asshole. I don't want to do this for you.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think you really want people to be their best selves, I guess.
Yes.
And you're really hoping that their first reaction to I can't talk about this is because it's so intense for them emotionally and they can't handle it, rather than they'd rather watch, you know, the ball game.
Right. Because they don't want to talk about it and they don't care at the end of the day.
They honestly don't care.
They don't care.
After he won't get her a cup of coffee, you know that he's...
Now we know it's true.
Now it's true. Now that the nail is fully in the
that's
coffee.
my experience. My experience always aligns in that. So it's very clear to me when you say things like that, if this is who you are as a human, then I know exactly what you're communicating.
So you've already pulled the data from a bunch of different data points to get the idea of who this person is.
That's
just based on
my...
Yes, you have. Yes, you.
Yes.
If every time that I was in a situation like that and it turned out that the person acted that way because they emotionally couldn't handle it, then my response would be like yours.
Right. I'd be like, oh, okay. This is one of those times. And then I would follow it up by saying, do you not want to talk about it because it's hurting your heart? And then they would either be silent or whatever.
Like my son, he cannot deal with extreme emotions when other people are expressing those extreme emotions. When we knew that we had to put our dog down and Kelly was crying, he had to leave the house. He had to go walk around the block until he knew that it was safe, that outpouring of emotion was done. Because he actually physically gets angry. He gets pissed off about it. And it's just because of how he doesn't mean to be.
No.
You know, it's not a malicious thing.
No.
That's just what his brain does when other people cry. He goes, "Arr!"
That's right.
Yeah.
This is your son on the spectrum?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There also could be components of sensory overload in that place, right? There could be a lot of things going on
Absolutely.
there. Yeah, interesting. I feel very seen by your statements, Scott. I have to say that I really do believe at the end of the day, I just want to believe that people have a core of goodness and care and compassion, and that they've been calloused over. And where that really screws me up a lot of the time is that when that's not true, or when I'm willing to take it on the chin as a healthy person to help that person get there, and over and over and over again, I'm still the one that's being run over and plowed over. Because I want to see the best in this person and I want them to get there. I will do that despite myself. And that's what's not fair, right? So in my second question related to this is, do you feel the same way about your spouses? So it's one thing if this is, you know, your stepfather, or if this is a buddy of yours from college who's like, are we going to talk about your cancer diagnosis all night? And no, I'm not going to get you a cup of coffee, right? You can assert that pretty clearly. This guy's an asshole, whatever. Just don't be around him a whole lot. When it's your spouse and you have, all of us have 10 plus years of experience with our significant other, and your spouse is the one that you know at this intimate level who ebbs and flows with, you know, do you know them well enough? Is that what it is? It's like, do you know them well enough? Did they really mean that? Or did they not? Or how does the conversation change when it's your spouse?
It doesn't change for me.
So let's say you know your spouse to be someone who is genuinely not wanting to go there in the conversation, right? They'll get you the coffee because it's out of a matter of obligation, but they don't want to go there in the conversation. Do you take that as my spouse is a toxic person because he's not allowing me to process, he or she is not allowing me to process this? Or how do you reconcile that?
First of all, I mean, from my experience with my wife, she wouldn't take that. She wouldn't express that approach that way. She wouldn't say, are we going to talk about this all night? Because that's just rude. That's not how she would do it. She would be like, nope, I can't talk about it. That's how she would say it. And then I'd say, okay.
Yeah, but that's how you know.
But
it's
that's
because
your
it's
sign
emotional.
Of what? But is that your sign to know that she just emotionally can't go there? Or is she just not interested in being responsive to your concern?
Well, I would never even assume that she would not be interested in we're both the same way. We may not. I'll ask her every day, how was your day? And she'll go on and on and on. And yeah, I care. But then sometimes she'll get into like really deep medical stuff that's happening. And I'm like, like, I don't know. But she wants to talk about it. So I'm like, okay. You know, I would never in a million years say, I really don't want to hear this.
So let's use Philip as an example. If he's just like,
look at that face.
Her face is hilarious. You know, if he's just like, I don't want to talk about this right now, do you give him the benefit of the doubt, or do you just accept it? He really just doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, no, I just don't want to talk about it. I'm not interested in talking about it. And then you just know, okay, well, he's just not at an emotional place where he's ever able to talk about it. And I just need to suck it up and deal and call Erin. Is that what it is?
No, I'm like, he doesn't care about me. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Is there ever a part of you that wonders if he's just not able to communicate that because he just has really deep feelings and doesn't know how to communicate those?
No. We've had numerous conversations about this. And then you have shared that. And sometimes we'll have a 3-way conversations with him and he'll say that, but it still feels like he doesn't care.
Yeah. Interesting. And when it comes to Mark, I feel like I also don't think that he would say, are we going to talk about this all night? But there would be a half step below that would get communicated, which maybe is a little confusing to me, right? So he might, let's say, disengage a little bit before I'm done talking about it. And I'll look over and I'll be like, are we done talking about this? And he'd be like, oh, I didn't know you still wanted to talk about it.
That's different.
right?
That's different.
But he's not saying, I didn't know you wanted to still talk about it. Oh, yeah, great. Let's keep engaging. That was almost a way of disengaging because he's not really interested in talking about it, but it's coming off as I'm not really interested in it. Whereas I think if he came right out and been like, are we going to talk about this all night? I probably would feel the same way that I feel about the coffee because I'd be like, that's freaking rude.
Right.
Do you know who I am?
Right.
Do you know I have to process every single aspect of every single thing and I need you present for it and I need you looking at me while we're talking about it and, whatever. So it's, again, not surprisingly, the black and whites of this are really difficult for me. It's when it's in the gray area. And I do tend to give the benefit of the doubt. I do tend to assume that you're coming from a place where you just can't emotionally handle it. What I'm really trying to learn.
But that also makes you feel better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because what do I need to do if I've come from a place where you genuinely don't care about it and I'm not giving you, then I have to make a choice.
Right.
Am I here? Am I staying? Am I not? Are you fulfilling my needs? Are you, right? So yeah, just like a couple sessions ago when we were talking about, I need you guys to change because it makes me feel better. Right. It makes me feel like I'm in a better place. It's similar to that.
Yeah.
There's another example on here that they came up with. So it's pretty much the same, but it's a different context. It was about a mother who was emotionally avoidant of her child when her child was facing illness of any kind. And so the mother left the child alone, old enough to be left alone, but when the child was sick. And the child was vomiting all over the place and was essentially dying of XYZ condition.
Jesus.
Someone came to find the daughter, brought her to the hospital, and
what?
That's fine. Brought her to the hospital, and the mom never visited her in the hospital. And the comment was that the mother was saying, I'm never going to apologize for leaving you alone. Like that was what it was. That's what made sense. I had other things that I was supposed to do. So I heard that again. Your both of your responses are hilarious because my immediate go-to response was, this is so traumatic for this mother that she left this child.
Selfish bitch who
she left this child home that she cannot mentally go there because of the anguish that is felt.
You don't do that as a mother.
And she also didn't find somebody to replace her. She literally left the kid to die and then didn't visit them in the hospital.
Yeah, there's no salvaging that. There's no salvaging
How
that.
are you so clear cut that there's no salvaging that?
Because she's a bitch.
How do you know she's a bitch?
Because she cares more about herself.
Do we at all care maybe she has some past trauma history that's led her to be at this place? Do we at all care that maybe she had a really shitty mom and this is too difficult for her to handle? Do we not care about those things?
The court system wouldn't care about those things if they decided to bring her up on charges for child neglect. They don't care if you have prior PTSD or anything, things like that. They don't care about that.
The definitive nature of how you know this is what I need to get at. I need to tap into that. I don't understand how you're so definitive. What are you doing at that point? Are you shutting off the fact that this mother also has a history? We don't care about it.
Don't care.
Is it your anger that comes out? Like, what is it?
Your history, your personhood, it doesn't matter anymore. You becoming a mother now makes you have to put that child's needs as a priority, regardless of your own.
How do you know that to be true?
Because that's what it means to be a mother.
Nature said that.
But if you are a mother and
animals.
you are a mother, but you're really not great at being a mother because you didn't have a great mother, because you don't know how to be a mother, because you became a mother out of wedlock, because you are
I would say go get your library card and find some free books on what it means to be a goddamn parent. This is not that hard. I'm sorry.
But
way to throw the library card in there. It's really
maybe
good.
I'm wrong, but common sense says that you wouldn't leave a sick child at home alone, regardless of what you had going on.
Right. Like, what is going on that's more important than your dying child?
Let me give you an example that's associated with this. When I used to work at a place here in the city working with juvenile delinquents and juveniles that had really come up through the court system. I had a 13-year-old girl that had an infant. She herself had a baby. Jesus. And I had gone to the house for one of the home visits, and I had found that this 13-year-old girl was giving the infant Kool-Aid in a bottle, right? Red Kool-Aid. I'll never forget it. I walked in and I said to the girl,
"This is a child parenting a child. This is a very difficult example.
What are we parenting, right? What are we doing here, right?" And she says, "Well, I like Kool-Aid, so I'm sure name of the child will like Kool-Aid."
Of course.
Right?
That makes sense.
And that ends up having to be a CPS case because this infant is not supposed to be drinking Kool-Aid, right? And this is a parent, like it or not, this is a parent, but this is a child who doesn't know any different, doesn't have, right? So how do we assume that 13-year-old who now becomes a 20-year-old, right, maybe has a little more knowledge about the fact that we're not supposed to be giving Kool-Aid, right? So maybe we've learned that along the way. But have we learned all of the other things we're supposed to learn about how to be a mom? And does that past history matter in that mom being a mom? So let's use the example of this mom who leaves that child there. Let's pretend it's the same 13-year-old girl who was given the Kool-Aid, right?
Not supposed to drink the Kool-Aid.
Hard to believe that, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that past history doesn't change in 7 years when she's now 20, is leaving her daughter home and is thinking, well, I got to go to work because I got to make money for the family. Sorry that you're sick. I didn't realize you were so sick. Oh my God, you're vomiting and you're probably dying of X, Y, and Z, right? The part I can't shake in that experience is that the girl who was 13 given the Kool-Aid is still the same girl that had the same experiences at 20 and has a past history and is making incorrect decisions. I don't believe at all that this poor little girl should be left alone. But the difference for me is, how do we get to the definitive point that you should have? Why aren't you? What is the problem? You are a terrible human being. How do we then turn off the past history of that mom?
You need all that information to make that judgment. And perhaps maybe, I don't know, we're wrong for making that snap judgment, but without the information behind it, if you said this mom that left this child alone was a mom at 13 and all this kind of stuff, then you can kind of take a step back and say, okay, obviously she's had some issues. She's not right.
I don't think Rebecca would feel any different. Honestly, I think she has compassion for the fact that this girl has been through this, but her main focus now is this child was suffering and you left. So sorry your shit's not in order. Sorry that you had the life that you had, but you cannot continue to impact this other person moving forward. Am I right? That's my guess is that's...
Yeah, the whole time I'm sitting here going, this is why I would never go into social work, counseling, none of this bullshit, because it is too much. It is too much. It is too much to be like, oh, well, so it's what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, this kid has to suffer and have all of these things happen because of because a parent had a traumatic thing.
I know. This is what I mean about the paralysis associated with understanding people when you are a highly sensitive person, and then add on top of that you have training and counseling, and then add, right? Part of my problem constantly, the problem of empathy, is that it is never just as clear cut as you didn't get me in some ways, I guess it is. You didn't get me the cup of coffee and you should have. What I can't understand is...
Well, they don't have to.
Why is that act so clear to me? But right?
They don't. See, and get it yourself. I guess I didn't have as strong as a reaction to that one because the only reason I had the reaction was because she just got done with her chemo treatment.
Right.
So it would have been a nice thing. But reality is... Get it yourself. Like I say that to my kid all the time. I don't need to serve my 10-year-old Cheerios in the morning. You can get it yourself.
But if she had just gotten done with a cancer treatment and she had asked for something, doesn't it make pure sense to be like, I need to help her out?
If that's what you feel in your heart. But because he doesn't care, he didn't care that she had cancer, didn't want to process the emotions with her, could care less. She probably takes an Uber to her cancer treatments.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
I know.
I am not kidding.
And so in your mind...
And then in his mind, he's like, well, you're done with the treatment. What's the problem?
This is the person who this is.
Yes.
You showed me who you are.
Yes.
I believe you.
Yes.
This is who you are. Yes. That's the problem.
Yes.
You've shown me who you are.
So I'm not surprised when you won't get me. I'll still ask you because I'm
really
hoping that you'll change your mind, but
yeah.
Well, he better have a big old schwanz for her to have to deal with that guy all the time. He's got to have some fucking redeeming qualities.
I mean, but again, that's the other side of the story that we don't know.
What, Scott? You know what? Usually they don't. Honestly, the reality is that these women come from, and myself included at times, come from a past situation of not having self-confidence, thinking you need to change someone, being in a bad, pattern of wanting to, like I should be putting up with this self-worth, right? This is not just domestic violence related situations. Many women are in these situations.
And it's not, you can't just up and leave. You can't up and leave a partnership. You can't up and leave if there's kids. Maybe you don't make as much money. Blah, blah, blah. There's so many things.
Right. It's so complex.
But at the end of the day, you can only control you, right? So if you know this about your partner and you know the capacity, the whatever, then unfortunately you just either pick and choose or you move on. If you need more, then you need to move on.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised when it happens over and over and over and over.
I think what I'm getting better about with strangers or other people who I don't have very close, intimate relationships with is when you show me who you are, I'm going to believe you, right? I think I can do that pretty definitively with people I don't have engagements with. It is the people who are in my inner circle, the people that I have loved, connected with, and see it to the core of their being that I have a really hard time accepting that is. Our whole relationship is based off of this, right? We wouldn't be where we were if 20 years ago you came to me and I was like, well, she showed me who she was. I believe her. I'm like, no, hell no.
Right.
I am deep diving into this, right? And so this is part of the drug reinforcement.
Yeah.
Is that I have so many examples in life where I have helped uncover the truth about who someone really is, what makes them tick, that it then becomes this assumption that everyone has that level of depth. Everyone has that story, right? And that there are only certain people in the world who have the ability to be able to uncover that and to be able to go that. And I will carry that burden to be able to do that, right? And so you've helped me really realize I don't have to be doing that with all the randos in the world, with all of the random people, right?
Just the people that you love.
But with the people that I love, where that becomes challenging is...
Where do you draw the line?
Where is that line?
Yeah.
And how do I know that the person that... Let's say the person that my husband is and the person that he's showing me and the ins and outs of the yes and the no's and the maybes and this is who he is, that is exactly who he is. And if I don't love all of that, or if I don't assume that there's something, what do I do? I got to do something about that, right? Or if you've been my best friend for 20 years and then I just come to realize, you know what? She doesn't care about this at the end of the day. She doesn't really care about me. She's actually incredibly self-serving and only wants to do, but she's done a manipulative job of making me think that it has something to do with me. If I come to that conclusion about you, what do I do with that?
I know. That's the crossroads. What do you always say? Is it harder to... What do you always say? Is it harder...
I say when the pain of staying is greater than the pain of leaving.
Right.
That's when people leave.
Right. But I think it's the same.
Only when the pain of staying.
But I think that's the same with a relationship. If it's too hard and you're not getting anywhere, you're on the hamster wheel and you're just burnt out.
And this is where we run into problems with toxic people, narcissistic relationships, trauma bonding, and long-term relationships.
Codependency.
Codependency. Because the problem with all of that we've talked about on this show so much is that it is never the case that it is so terrible for great lengths of time. It's never, no, I'm not getting you a coffee. No, I'm not getting you a coffee. No, I'm not getting you a coffee, right?
Right. Like, right. And then the next minute it's like, right.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's like abuse.
Right.
Like when it's consistent.
Right. But even when it's abuse, you'll be hard pressed to find a case where it is just abuse after abuse after abuse. That's the whole cycle of abuse, right?
I know.
So it creates this system where you're in these patterns where you have to stay for certain reasons, whether it be financial or otherwise. You choose to want to see the best in this pattern of behavior. And that is why HSPs, people who are committers, people who have past trauma, find it so hard to leave these relationships because that trauma bond has been created that essentially makes it almost feel impossible to cut that tie. Because the minute you cut that tie, I'm assuming you're going to go deeper. The minute I cut that tie, you're going to be a different human being. And you essentially have to make amends with the fact that I've taken you as far as I possibly can and there's more to be done, but I can't be the one to do it in order for that cut to happen. And for someone who's an HSP therapist, empath, good luck convincing me that we've reached the end. And therein lies, you call it a trauma cycle, you call it whatever cycle, my own personal cycle, which I really am assuming a lot of people on this session can relate to. My own personal cycle of whatever you call that. It's trauma bonding. So it's whatever you call it.
You sent me something a while ago from a therapist who does Instagrams. The man with the hat.
Oh, yeah.
So this morning, this is so funny. This morning he said, I was just with a client the other day and she was married for a long time or she was married for a whole year and all of these things happened and she's been since separated for 6 years, but she still can't let it go. And she's like, I'm just so confused. And the reason why they ended up breaking up was because she found out that he had a whole nother family, a whole nother, like it was like a double life situation. And she's kept saying to him, I'm so confused because he was so great and so nice. And so he said all these things to me, this, that, and the other. And he goes, oh, sounds like you had a Bologna Whopper. She goes, what do you mean? And he goes, sounds like you had a Bologna Whopper. And she goes, what is that? He goes, you tell me. Or something like that. And she said, well, it would be bologna with lettuce, cheese, like all the things, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. Because you just told yourself. Sounds like a bunch of bologna. And I just keep thinking of you because I'm like,
you're calling it a Whopper.
Right.
But there's bologna in the middle.
It's bologna.
Right. And you're like, wow, this is delicious, but it's not a Whopper. It's a bologna.
And that for me sometimes feels like you like to say all of these things and give people the benefit of the doubt. And because you're trained and because you are an empath and because you are a highly sensitive person and because you have much more privy to other people's lives, circumstances, this, that, and the other, we on the outside watching in can hear you and can buy into it and be like, yeah, but we're all sitting here going, okay, it's a Bologna Whopper. She keeps telling herself this and it's fine. And sometimes it pans out.
Yeah.
And other times it doesn't, but we're all here for the ride.
Right.
It's fine.
Right. Yeah. But that's really interesting.
Because you're here for the ride for us.
Yeah.
With our own Bologna Whoppers.
Right.
We all have our own Bologna Whoppers.
Yeah. This is me clapping, like doing the version of clapping when we're at the coffee shop. Right. Yes.
I'm going to send you that.
Because I'm here for every Bologna Whopper.
Absolutely.
And I'm here hoping that at the Bologna Whopper, that when we really open it up, it was half bologna, half beef patty.
Right.
Like, or whatever it is.
Triple bologna, so it's really thick, but it's still bologna.
Right.
So,
I know. The coolest part for me is that we're taping this podcast at a time in my life where I'm going through it. I'm figuring it out.
Sure.
I'm experiencing it. I'm hating it. I'm enjoying it. I'm doing all of these things. I can't wait to see in 10 years, listening back to
a Bologna Whopper.
Right.
That's what we're going to call this session.
This is 100% called Bologna Whopper. To listen to the Bologna Whoppers to say in 10 years, do I still have Bologna Whoppers?
Oh, yeah.
How big are the Bologna Whoppers?
Yeah.
Are they smaller?
They're
are
sliders.
They less?
They're sliders. You got a 4-pack of sliders.
I got sliders instead of a full-on Bologna Whopper with fries and a peppy.
Instead, you got 4 little Bologna Whoppers.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's 100% the end of the podcast. There's nothing else to say after
guys,
slider Bologna Whoppers.
What Bologna Whoppers do you have in your life?
Tell us about your Bologna Whoppers. More love out.
I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.